Here I go, here I go, here I go again. What is Confluence? Well, let me tell you. Confluence is the junction or joining of two rivers of approximately equal width. And welcome back to the Tarot and Tea Leaf Reading Party. I'm Tabitha Dial. I mentioned Confluence because that's the inspiration for a few videos I hope to do over time that connect topics to tarot and tea leaf readings that you might not have otherwise maybe considered. First off, I want to look at the issue of depression, specifically overcoming depression and kind of accepting depression. We're in the middle of winter right now, and I actually kind of went into hibernation myself because it was a bit rough on myself to be depressed recently too. And thankfully there's less stigma surrounding behavioral and mental illnesses. It makes me very, very happy, but there's always room for discussion and learning. So without further ado, I'll start with the tarot cards that I feel are related to this. You've got the Five of Cups, which really illustrates the emotions that seem to be right in front when it comes to depression. You'll see that there's those three cups on this side that just look so lost. Everything's gone. And that's where the focus is for this person. And yet everything's not as bleak as it seems in this dark dress and everything, because there are still two cups that are full. There's still that hope and all that potential. So if you get anything from my video today, I hope you just at least remember that. Look at those two cups. They're there for you, full of potential. So that's that surface, how the emotions feel regarding depression. Then another five card is the Five of Wands. And this one kind of helps explain and show how life is so full of conflict. And I think when you're in a depressed mode, it sometimes feels like this cage, like you can kind of see how those wands kind of trap you. And yet at the same time, you can kind of see the expressions on their faces, and it's almost like they realize this is not permanent, this isn't natural, this isn't really who I am, which is a great takeaway, because it isn't who you are when you're depressed. It's a part of who you are. It needs to be taken care of and tended to, but it's part of the process as well. Sometimes that entrapment involves maybe 5 different aspects of yourself, and it's a lot of inner work that you have to do, and that's where the struggle lies, and the conflict and the battle. It could be your own sense of worth, your own habits, exercise and diet, looking back at the past, concentrating on things that maybe don't matter anymore, or just focusing on one thing that frightens you over here, when all these other things need to be addressed too that can be outside of you a little bit, like your finances and your environment, things that you kind of can't control but still need to be aware of. So it's a nice card to understand in that context, where depression gives us a lot of reason to have caution, but also teaches us so much and gives us a lot of potential. And those wands are a suit that is about potential and creativity and growth as well. All right. It also spurs the idea of what are your resources that you can rely on. Maybe you can make those 5 foes your 5 allies in some way by making peace with them. So your resources come into play kind of in this card, the Five of Pentacles. Also, this very vividly describes depression, I think, in a visual sense for me, because you feel like you're kind of out there and you feel like an outcast, isolated possibly. What else can we say? Exposed to the elements too, and it's cold, it's snowy, that's snow. But that's only the bottom half of this card. The top half, what do we see there? That is a beautiful stained glass window. It conveys the idea that we've got resources to get by. We've got things and places and people to support us when we need them. Which brings me to the point of how important therapists and counselors are, and resources such as that. So those things that are drawn to you, that have nourished you throughout your life, that you know are well established, that's kind of part of your calling, that's kind of part of your work in order to get out of this depression, to get out of this feeling of being cold and crippled. That's not what life is about. That's not what's for you. Don't stay outside in the snow when you can go inside and have some security and warmth. Snow's fun sometimes, but not all the time. Alright. We also have the final tarot card I'm going to share is the Five of Swords. Now this card I saved for last because the swords are associated with air, and that is connected to the mind and the intellect, communication. So it's a perfect way to kind of conclude this overview of just a few of the tarot cards that for me help put in a visual sense the concept of depression. And you got some writing prompts actually are possible with this card. If you just look at the landscape, that sky, and then there's also just a hint of that water that's fairly placid, and a little bit of mountains. You know, if you think about all that and what that might mean to you, how that might be affecting your mood, that might be a helpful thing to address in writing, either in a journal or a letter or a poem, song. Use art, use dance, whatever you want. As well, I was drawn, as I was thinking about this, I was also drawn to, there's like two energies, three figures, but like two energies. You've got the guy who's kind of a bully, who's got most of the swords, and is kind of like, ha ha ha, I won. And then you got the two people who feel defeated or victimized and are turning away from the situation. So you can write from their perspective, or from the other person's perspective, and both, and see how that feels. Try different voices. Who's the real, person in control? Is that a person? Is that an aspect of yourself? What does all that mean? And then what does it mean to walk away? That's a big deal. And how can you walk away in a healthy manner? What are you leaving behind? And what other tool do you have to communicate yourself? So those are the tarot cards. I'm going to come back with another video that just looks at those tea leaves. So I look forward to seeing you in just a little bit. Bye for now.